Even though it's January and it's supposed to be the best time of year to do it, today was an absolute prick of a thing. And I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it was so beautiful and all that, just to try and justify it, just because I've paid a lot of money to do it. It was pretty ordinary. Couldn't see anything, freezing cold and uncomfortable. Hopefully the next week goes a lot better than today.
It was the best of times, it was the blurst of times. But hey, at least I made some friends.
And this is Bruce the buffalo. Keeps looking at me, which is kind of weird, but to be fair, I was looking at him first.
And I made some enemies.
Holy shit, I'm gonna die.
I also saw some things.
Seen some things that I didn't really need to see.
Like the Golden Gate Bridge, waterfalls, 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 falling water, waterfalls, boats, and boats.
Hey guys, I'm just in Ha Giang at the moment. I've just finished the Ha Giang Loop, an extended version, the northeastern loop, out through Cao Bang to Ban Gioc Waterfalls, down to Bao Lac, and then back onto the Ha Giang Loop. In this video, I just want to give you a guide on doing the loop. So I want to discuss basically everything. So hopefully this can be a one-stop shop and you can get all the info you need from someone who's just done it. I've ridden 1,200 kilometres and I've been on the road for 10 or 11 days now. And I just wanted to put this together as a bit of a guide covering everything from protection, motorcycles, permits, police, costs, fuel usage. Towards the end of the video, I'm just going to do lessons learned, tips, mistakes I made, regrets, things I would change, and hopefully just give you all the information you need to do the Ha Giang Loop, or if you want to do like me, an extended northeastern loop. And there are things that I would change, there are mistakes that I made, and there are a list of activities that I had planned before setting off on the trip, some of which I couldn't do. But in this video, I'm going to go through all the activities that I had pre-planned throughout the trip, just so you have an idea of what you can do each day, weather permitting and time permitting. So the idea here is that this is a guide for both the Ha Giang Loop, but also those wanting to ride out to Ban Gioc Waterfalls and then come back through Bao Lac, for example. Having a bit of flexibility is key, but we'll get into all that at the end of the video. So to start with, I'm just going to show you the trip itself, using the maps and showing you where all the activities are, the ones that I had planned, whether I did them or not. And then at the end, I'll jump into some questions, tips, lessons learned, mistakes. Hopefully by the time you've watched this video, you're full bottle on the Ha Giang Loop and just renting and riding a motorbike in Vietnam in general. With that in mind, there are chapter marks down below, and feel free to skip ahead to whichever part of the video you think is most relevant for yourself. But I'm going to start with the trip itself, the footage, just the journey around the northeast of Vietnam. Let's get into it.
For those that don't know, the Ha Giang Loop is in the north of Vietnam. Vietnam stretches 1,600 kilometres on the far east coast of Southeast Asia. You might have heard of Ho Chi Minh in the south. Hanoi is the capital in the north. Ha Giang is a city about 6 hours bus ride from Hanoi. This is where the loop starts. Now, from Ha Giang, you take the QL4C north towards Quang Ba and Yen Minh for day one. Day one's very busy, lots of activities to do, including Tham Luong Cave, Bac Sam Pass Viewpoint, Cao Lan Waterfall. You've got Heaven's Gate, which is one of the most popular ones, the city of Quang Ba itself, Lung Khoi Cave, Nai Nam Dam Waterfall, and then you head into Yen Minh Pine Forest and Yen Minh, if that is where you decide to spend night one. Today, starting Ha Giang, up north on QL4C, the first stop will be Tham Luong Cave.
This is the first stop. This is Tham Luong Cave, and I've probably pronounced it wrong, but this is about 50 minutes out of Ha Giang. In this video, I'm going to go through all the different day stops that you can make. I might skip a couple just due to the weather at the moment. January is meant to be the best time to do it with clear skies, but I've got a forecast with a lot of rain, so you can never really be sure. So as I said, this is Tham Luong Cave. The car park is basically down at what you'd call sea level, and there's a lot of steps to get up here. They're quite steep steps. I'm struggling because I've got a cold at the moment, so for me it took 21 minutes or something. Ordinarily, I think it would have been maybe a 12-minute walk up, but I did struggle a lot. It does get quite humid with all the rain. There are very slippery sections when it's raining as well, and with all this leaf litter and moss in the jungle, it's like walking on ice, so you've got to be careful. Now, Tham Luong Cave doesn't open until 9 o'clock. I've actually come up earlier for a number of reasons. One is to avoid the police checkpoint out of Ha Giang, but also because I have a lot of things planned for today. The earlier I can get started, the better. Normally this would be lit up. Lights aren't on at the moment. There is a fuse box there with an RCD that's turned off, so technically I could turn them on, but I'm not going to be that cheeky, and I'm not sure if it runs off a generator either, which might not be turned on. So I'm just going to leave them off at the moment, have a quick look. Probably won't get down to the bottom just because of the lack of lighting, but that's all right. I've got a few caves to look at on this 10-day journey, and this one wasn't really a high priority for me. This is about 50 minutes north of town, slight detour off the QL4C, which is the main road that you'll start the Ha Giang Loop on, but not too big a detour that you're going to miss too much time out. Cool, raining, just the way I like it. Just on the way down Tham Luong Caves. This is one of the rest stops that is sheltered. A lot of the rest of it is unsheltered, but it is under the jungle. Down there is the car park where my scooter is getting saturated. If this weather doesn't get much better, I'm going to have to skip a few of the activities I had planned for today.
After leaving Tham Luong Cave, it's just a short ride up to Pja Pass. Now, Pja Pass is a lookout, a viewpoint, and there is a cafe there. The conditions were miserable when I was there, but I went there to have a look anyway and stopped at the cafe for a coffee just to warm up. The people there are nice and friendly, conditions horrible, and if you want, during better conditions, you can head over to this platform over here, and this is Pja Pass. I think you pay a small fee and you can walk out onto the platform, take your photos for the gram or whatever you are into, but you'll forgive me for not going out there today. It's pretty miserable and freezing cold. Continued on in the horrible weather from Pja Pass. You stay on the QL4C until eventually you get to Pja Pass near the village of Pja, also known as Heaven's Gate. I've stopped here just a little bit earlier on the pass to give you an idea of what the view might look like in rainy conditions.
Still a great view, but not the way I imagined it.
Further up the pass you have the main lookout point. This cafe here is very popular. All the minivans and the Easy Rider groups stop there. If we backtrack a bit, these stairs here, it's about 10k V&D entrance. Go up there, you probably get the view to yourself without all the crowds. Now, because of the conditions that I was faced with, there wasn't really any view to be had. A viewpoint without a view is just a point. Because of this, I rode straight past Pja, Heaven's Gate, and after that is a viewpoint called Fairy Bosom Lookout. I rode straight past this as well because you can't even see the bottom of the valley. About 8 kilometres out of Pja was a police checkpoint. This held me up for at least half an hour, possibly 40 minutes, as I sat there, offered my payment, and then just sat there and waited until they let me go. I lost a lot of time, and because of this, I decided that I would not try and attempt to head to Nai Nam Dam Waterfall, but I did try and get to Lung Khoi Cave afterwards. Unfortunately, on the ride there, the conditions got even worse again. My boots were full of water, and I was freezing cold. Gloves were saturated because they weren't waterproof, and my inner t-shirt had somehow gotten wet as well. I decided to abandon the attempt and head towards Yen Minh Pine Forest. There are 2 ways you can get to Yen Minh. One is a shortcut, one is a longer road that goes to the pine forests. I originally started on the long road, before suffering a flat tyre. I had to walk the bike about 2.5 kilometres back to a mechanic. On the second time round, I was a bit too cold and miserable to try and head back to the pine forests, so I decided to take the shortcut, which is this right-hand turn in the fork. On the right-hand turn, there is one, I guess you could call it an attraction, inverted commas, along the route. It is simply a tree that has not been cleared for the road, and it overhangs the valley below. A lot of people like to stop here for photos. For me, not my kind of scene, lining up behind other people waiting to take a photo, but if you want to take the shortcut pass, this is one thing that you can do.
Alright guys, so I'm just in a hostel or a homestay at the moment. Yeah, a bit of a prick of a day, that one, which is a shame because I missed out on the Buxom Overpass and the Heaven's Gate, which are some of the better views on the trip, so I've kind of missed them now. Yeah, just everything's saturated, couldn't see much. The road conditions were bad, which made driving a little bit slower, but I've learnt a lot, I guess. At the moment, just in AKA homestay in Yen Minh. So I made it to Yen Minh. I could have stopped in Quang Ba, but couldn't see the point in just stopping and then having to face the same thing again tomorrow. I'm getting over a cold at the moment as well, which made it pretty challenging to drive through the rain continuously. So I did stop at Tham Luong Cave, as you saw, and I did stop at Buxom Pass and Heaven's Gate and a few of these other lookouts as well, but the view just wasn't there. I skipped 2 waterfalls, Unnamed and Quan Lan. Main reason being is because driving conditions were so bad it was going to take me longer to get to Yen Minh, but also the Quan Lan waterfall has a sort of rope descent down a hill to get to the waterfall, which in these sort of conditions was just unfeasible to do. Skipped that one, skipped Unnamed waterfall, which is one of the lesser waterfalls. I did try to go to Puong Cave and I got about halfway there, and then conditions became even worse and I decided to turn around because everything was saturated, all my boots were full of water. I could barely see 15 metres in front of me, so I turned around on that one because it also involved a 2-kilometre walk at the end, and I couldn't do it with saturated boots and all that sort of stuff, so I couldn't take most of my cameras out of their bags without getting everything wet. And then there's a turn off when you're heading towards Yen Minh through the Yen Minh pine forest. I was going to go there, and then I actually had a popped tyre. The inner tube was damaged, so I had a flat. So then I had to find a mechanic, and it was about 2.5 k's away. First gear, about 5 or 6 k's an hour. Pretty slow going to get to the mechanic and then wait for him to change the tyre. So on top of that, there's the police checkpoints, which are just everywhere now, pretty hard to avoid. I ended up paying 1.3 million because I'd hidden money, obviously. I didn't want to pay the full 3 million that they try and get out of you, so I just showed him my wallet. There was 1.3 there, which still is more than I would like to pay. I'm not sure why Australia and Vietnam haven't agreed on this international driving permit. It's an absolute pain in the ass, but there's another thing done. So it was so wet, I'm not even sure if the waterproof stuff I had, like the poncho, the trousers and that, was ineffective, or if it was just so wet that it was coming in through the gaps in the neck of the poncho and going down the inside. But I mean, my jocks were wet, my inner t-shirt was wet, everything's saturated. When it's that wet, it's pretty hard to keep out. I've got the hairdryer going at the moment. I've dried the helmet already. I've got some things hanging up on a stool back here just to try and dry them out as well. Even if I don't wear them, I don't want to pack everything away soaking wet. The bag will smell like crap. And at the moment, nothing's drying in a hurry. I could be going through all this hassle and then tomorrow same conditions and I'm back to square one, but hopefully we get better conditions tomorrow. Tomorrow's plan is to head to Dong Van via the northernmost point of Vietnam, maybe Lung Tru flagpole, but I've heard the flagpole's not great unless conditions are great, but I'm really going to have to play it by ear at the moment because I genuinely have no idea. It's really hard to find a forecast for all these towns up here. You read one website says one thing and another website has something completely different. I don't think anyone really knows, to be honest. Even though it's January and it's supposed to be the best time of year to do it, today was an absolute prick of a thing. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it was something beautiful and all that, just to try and justify it, just because I've paid a lot of money to do it. It was pretty ordinary. Couldn't see anything, freezing cold and uncomfortable. Hopefully the next week goes a lot better than today.
Day 2 on the Ha Giang Loop for most people involves riding from Yen Minh to the city of Dong Van. Along the way there is Chin Quan Ramp, which is a 9-turn switchback road. There is the Hmong King's Palace, a good excuse to stretch your legs. And then to fill out the hours of the day, because this is a quick ride, most people visit either the northernmost point of Vietnam, Lung Tru flagpole, or both. In Dong Van itself we have the Dong Van Viewpoint, also sometimes called Don Cao. It is an old French fortress. The northernmost point of Vietnam and the Lung Tru flagpole are quite near to each other. However, they do get different conditions due to the change in elevation of each point. After a great breakfast at AKA Homestay, I hit the road nice and early, did some McDoing around some trucks, and then luckily for me it started raining again, exactly as I planned. First stop today was not something I had planned, but I noticed this little lookout, so I thought I'd swing around and show you how good the views are.
Right guys, this was the first stop for today. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a little lookout spot. I won't be staying here for too long. 40 metres, 50 metres visibility if you're lucky. It's not raining as heavily as yesterday, but still it is drizzling and I can't see anything. Made a few changes. Put the boots on over the other boots and hopefully that stops the water coming in. Tried to dry the boots out yesterday, so I don't really want to get them wet again and have to go through all that. It took hours. So we'll carry on to the next point. The next point is like a 9-turn switchback road, but it's probably going to look pretty similar to this, as in we won't be able to see anything. So whether I'll stop or not to film anything, yeah, we'll see.
After a quick stop at a cafe with great views but shithouse coffee, I was greeted with some of the worst weather and visibility of the trip so far, before heading in through a nice little village with a local market. In better weather I might have stopped for a look around, but I was really reluctant to get off the bike at all. I just wanted to get this over and done with. Further on we ride through Sung La village, which is a scenic little minority village that's worth a little stop and look around.
Right guys, so it's day 2. I've left Yen Minh this morning. Stayed at AKA Homestay, which is good, except it's annoying because the tour groups stay there as well, so it can be a little bit noisy. So far this morning hasn't been raining too much, it's just starting now funnily enough, but as you go up through the mountains it is raining quite a lot. So just about 20 minutes out of Dong Van, I guess just got to decide whether it's worth going to the Lung Tru flagpole or not. A lot of people say it's not when it's misty because you can't really see anything anyways, but yeah, better get the camera out of the rain.
Before you get to the far north, you of course have the Hmong King's Palace just outside of Dong Van to visit. A good excuse to get off the bike and stretch your legs.
On the way to the town of Sao Leng, which is where you actually go to the northernmost point of Vietnam from. The way Google Maps shows it is wrong. You can't go through Lung Tru Flag Tower, but these are the conditions at the moment. It's the lowest visibility I've seen so far. Can't really see the bottom of the valley or anything.
Due to the cloud cover, I decided to skip the flagpole entirely and just head to the northernmost point of Vietnam. This is the town of Gia Lung. The road ends and you need to cross this rocky section of road for about 40 metres and then you take a right directly afterwards. This will put you on the road out to the northernmost point of Vietnam. It is just one path the whole way, concrete paving with a few potholes Nothing too bad, nothing too hard to navigate. Far down in the valley below you'll see a river. That river is the border with China and Vietnam. Follow the road to the end and you'll come to a dedicated lookout.
Okay, so this is the northernmost point of Vietnam, also known as the North Pole of Vietnam. Nobody calls it that, but I might call it that from now on. I read some reviews saying there's like a rough road, but it's not. It's like a cobblestone-ish type of road. It only goes for 25 metres, then you chuck a right, and then it's concrete paving all the way down. The concrete paving on the way down does have a few potholes, and it's probably not as good condition as the rest of the roads that we've been on today, but it's pretty easy to navigate. Over there is China. Can't see it at the moment, but in the valley there is a river that runs down there, and those hills over there is the southern border of China, or the south pole of China, if you will. So the way Google Maps shows this to get here, the navigation is wrong. Maps.me shows it correctly, and you can do this, and you can do the Lung Chu flagpole as well. I'm only doing this today. I've decided not to do the flagpole because the flagpole is actually up at the peak. It's under the cloud cover, so you're not actually going to see anything. Good thing about this, obviously, is it's quieter. There was one Easy Rider group when I got here, but they left shortly after. They never stick around for long. They're only ever there for 10 minutes. Everyone comes up and grabs a photo and leaves. It's so hard to avoid them. Even though I like to start early, I tend to spend longer at places as well. So even though I get on the road early, by the time I stop at one or two places, they've caught up to me because they only stop for 10 minutes and they keep going, whereas I might stick around for 40 minutes to an hour. So it is really hard to avoid them, also because there are so many. But I get it why people want to do that. Don't really feel that adventurous, and it doesn't really feel like you're doing that remote sort of travel. It's like a Kentucky tour almost on two wheels. Just going to check out one more thing in Dong Van. There is a lookout. It's an old French fortress, Dong Cao, I think it is, from memory. So I'll bring it up on the maps, and obviously with the spelling because I can't pronounce shit. And yeah, that's it. Northernmost point of Vietnam, China across there. If you keep going, North Pole. If you keep going, eventually it's Antarctica, I think. And then you keep going, Australia, and you go a bit more and you're back here. That's how circles work. Let's get back on the bot.
After exiting through Gia Long over the Stone Pile Road, I was held up a little bit by construction. Pretty standard in Vietnam. You never know what you're going to get. There's buffalo, pigs, goats, construction, trucks. You just have to sit and wait. After that, I was lucky enough for it to start raining again. Did some Valentino Rossi with some locals and then some Marquez as well, before finally arriving into Dong Van and hiking up to the Dong Cao Fortress.
So Dong Cao Fortress is up there in the clouds. Just making my way up this footpath here. Probably doesn't look that steep on camera, but it is so slippery that I can barely get up here. Got these little lugs built in just to help people get up. You can see just because of the climate and all the moss that forms, it makes it like ice sometimes. See if we can get up there without stacking it. Going down's going to be even harder. Okay, so we're in Dong Van now for the night. This is the Dong Cao Fortress. It's an old French fortress. It's in ruins now, obviously. It's really cool to look at, except it's not very well maintained, as in there's rubbish, cigarette butts, plastic everywhere. But still pretty cool to walk around. You can see all across Dong Van town. And then you got the Dong Van Karst Geopark linked all the way through to Thailand in the Krabi region. Same sort of style, limestone cliffs, and it's all a former reef system. Obviously, when the water levels were a lot higher, which they'll be going back to anytime soon. So the road up here is steep, and a lot of the reviews say that it's too steep and dangerous to ride. I wish I actually rode up instead. I've seen other people ride up. I walked up from about halfway, and I think it's more slippery underfoot than it is with the tyres. Going downhill, use your engine braking in first gear, you shouldn't have a problem. I think going downhill in these boots is going to be pretty dangerous, but we'll see how we go. So that's the end of day 2 on the Ha Giang Loop, or the Northeast Loop, and yeah, another day of pretty average weather, better than yesterday. I improved the waterproofing a little bit. I need new boot covers because they get wrecked pretty easily, and tomorrow we just pray for the best. Oh, that mist is rolling in now, so it might be time to get out of here because it's going to get pretty slippery on the pathway down, and I don't want to get wet. I left all the raincoats down at the scooter, so we'll see you on day 3.
Today marks the first day that we make a departure from the Ha Giang Loop. Normally you would go from Dong Van through Mã Pja Pass. You would head west and south to a town that looks like it's Dugia. It's pronounced Zuza. What we're doing out to Ban Gioc Falls, we are going to spend the night in Bao Lac, heading east. All of the activities today are around the Mã Pja Pass, which is one of the highlights of the Ha Giang Loop. It is probably one of the main things that people talk about when doing the Ha Giang Loop. Mã Pja Pass is this road here, also sometimes called Death Road. There are some other attractions to check out along the way. If you want to do the No Quay River cruise, which I personally didn't, but just be aware that you have to drive towards Mã Pja Pass and then chuck a U-turn down the valley to get to where the boats leave from. Now, I got up early and I left Dong Van at an early hour just to try and beat the rush to the Mã Pja Pass, which is not far away. It's a little bit overcast and drizzly, but overall not too bad. To take the Mã Pja Pass, or the Death Road, go right through this gate here. Some people claim that you can't do it, but you absolutely can. This is a fully functional road, the locals use it. It is a two-way road, so just be careful because people will be coming the other way. If you are uncomfortable on the bike, possibly you might want to miss this one just because of how narrow it gets further along. I've sped this up to about 8 times without any cuts, just so you can see the path that you need to take to get the first attraction, which is, some people call the Skywalk, other people call the overhanging rock, but it is this attraction here.
Alright, so this is the main attraction here on day 3. So this is the Mã Pja Pass, this mountainous road, sort of a concrete path. It is quite narrow in sections. It does get narrower as we go on. Just behind the camera is the Skywalk. It is like there's an overhanging rock, so it's like an Instagram opportunity for people to take photos of them with their feet in the middle of the air. I'm kind of hesitant to do it at the moment just because of the drizzle and mist that's coming in. It's going to be very slippery on the way up. But this is Mã Pja Pass, which I think is the best thing about the Ha Giang Loop. And the weather's not perfect today, but even though it's not perfect, we've got some pretty cool views, and it's a little bit different, I guess, because of the mist and the low-hanging cloud. We can sort of just see a few of the peaks of the mountains coming up, but when you're riding on the road, it's pretty sketchy just having this mist to your left and steep drop into the abyss, which means I'm sort of not getting out of second gear on this particular road. Other people do come on the road. It is a two-way road, so you just have to be mindful going around corners. You can't just take up whatever part of the road you want. Use your horn and you should be all right. Yeah, at the moment it's nice and peaceful because none of those tour groups are out yet, but it's only a matter of time and there'll be plenty of people around here climbing up this in particular. I might go for a quick walk, see how slippery it is. My hiking boots don't do too well on the granite, so I might abandon that. And then I'm going to carry on. I think there's some more viewpoints. And then I'm going to double back on the main road. I think I drove past a cave just before, so I might go check out that cave. For the journey that I'm doing, the Northeastern Loop, I'll be heading to Mã Pja Pass probably for lunch, and then I'll head out to Bao Lac. Now, also, the Mã Pja Pass, there is the, I forget the name, I don't know how to pronounce it anyway, the No Quay River. You can do boat tours and stuff. Obviously, I'm not doing that today because all the mist hangs in the valley and you won't be able to see anything, but I've also heard people saying it can take up to an hour. I just don't have time for that, but it's another thing that you can do in this area. So let's see if this climb is too treacherous or not. As I was filming, a mist rolled in, which is not ideal, but I might just climb a little bit further, see what it's like. So I've abandoned the attempt to get to the top. It's doable in these sort of conditions, but getting down is a whole nother story, especially if you're going up and you have to reach quite a distance to go up, and then coming down is going to be nearly impossible. There's no one else here to spot me, so I think it's just wiser to abandon the climb. I got to that rock, but when I get to the top, it was a little bit too much. I decided not to sit on the rock because I can see a large crack in it, and it's kind of a little bit off-putting, and some of the end of it looks a little bit hollowed out, so I don't really trust it too much. On top of that, this misty drizzle is rolling in over myself at the moment. The grip underfoot is pretty bad. So I'm going to head on down Mã Pja Pass, even though we can't see much. I'll film a little bit so you can see how little we can see. Then I'll try and find this cave. So I'm ready to take off now. You can see the mist up there. It's getting quite wet, so I abandoned the climb.
So I'm just going to show you the remainder of the Death Road, or the Mã Pja Pass here, in about 6 times speed, just so you get an idea of the length, the width, and the visibility if you have conditions like mine, just so you can tell if you're comfortable riding it or not. It does get narrower towards the end, and there are more hairpins start to get involved, so as long as your brakes are good and you take it easy, you shouldn't have any dramas, but this is what it looks like.
This is sketchy.
After rejoining the main road, I went for a ride back to the start to try and find that cave I saw before. Didn't quite find it, and I'm not sure how, but I found a different cave.
I've found a cave, but I don't think it's the right one.
As it was still early, I went for another ride down the Mã Pja Pass on the main road and just enjoyed the views of the surrounding mountain passes and mountain roads. This is some of the best roads that we have on the loop so far.
So we're just in between Dongran and Mayovac. I've done the Mã Pja Pass,
and then I've gone back up the main road. I did find Puong Cave. I'll put some pictures up. I'm not actually sure if you can walk to it. The reason I couldn't see it is because it was so misty, but when I got a little patch in between the mist, I could see the cave. I don't know if it's just a photo op or if you can actually walk to it. I couldn't figure that out. The only way I could see that you'd walk to it is that you go down into the valley and back up again. And again, just because of the slippery conditions, I didn't fancy myself going down the valley slope without stacking it a number of times. Where I am right now is actually quite clear, but you might be able to see just above me is very misty. Off the Mã Pja Pass, there is a skywalk that you can do that comes up. It actually goes just behind me. There's some viewpoints. I was trying to see if I could get to them from here, but I can't. I have to do it as part of the walk. But once you're up there, they're not actually viewpoints, so I'm going to skip it today. To be honest, I'm probably going to have to come back and do the Ha Giang Loop another time just to capture all this stuff that I've missed just because of the weather. It is a massive pain because even if you do want to do anything, you have to take all your rain stuff off and then put it back on later, and it tears. And yeah, so not ideal, but if you get better conditions, there is a skywalk up above which you can access off the Mã Pja Pass. It is a point-to-point, 3 to 3.5 k's in one direction, but if you don't have a lift at the other end, then you're looking at 6 or 7k hike. Obviously, you can only do a portion of it, which is probably what I would do if I didn't have a lift. Look, so far, Mã Pja is definitely the highlight. Even the surroundings, so I think the skywalk would be really good to do on a day with clear weather. I might even go do Mã Pja Pass again just for fun, and then head on to Vách for lunch, and then out to Bao Lac.
Now, in between Vách and Bao Lac, there was nothing too interesting to record, but once the weather cleared up, we actually got some really good quality roads. Instead of the sharp hairpin turns, we had long winding corners, and as we joined along the river, we got some flat sections as well. This made the riding itself a bit of a fun activity to do. In Bao Lac, I just stayed at Sunny Homestay. Between Bao Lac and Cao Bang, there is only one attraction to do, which is the Mã Pja Pass. This is a mountain pass with about 14 switchback turns on it. At the top of the pass, there is a cafe. About 40 metres from the cafe, there is a hiking trail that starts. That'll give you a nice little lookout over the pass itself. After that, it's kind of up to you depending how comfortable you are and the time. You can head off to Cao Bang. You could check out Angel Eye Mountain near Cao Bang, or if you really wanted to, you could ride even further and head out to Ban Gioc Waterfalls. There's a bit of flexibility here in how you plan the rest of your trip.
Just outside town of Bao Lac, and this is the best weather I've had so far. Still got all the wet weather gear on because it was raining about 20 minutes ago, but I'm sort of hoping that's the end of it, but it's the hope that gets you. Today I am running late already. It was really hard to find anywhere open for breakfast because it's not peak tourist season. They don't open when they say they're open on Google Maps, for example. They just kind of open whenever they feel like it. And then once I did find a place that was open, it took another 25 minutes to get actual food on the plate. So yeah, it's 8:45 at the moment, whereas I kind of wanted to leave about 7 o'clock. The plan today, going to Cao Bang. On the way, there is a little hike to do, Mã Pja Pass. Then towards Cao Bang itself, there is Angel Eye Mountain. Now the idea was to see what time it is once I've finished in Cao Bang, and then possibly even head on towards Ban Gioc Waterfalls. Ideally, I would have liked to have gone to Ban Gioc today. Because I'm running a bit late, it's probably not going to happen, and the Mã Pja Pass hike, I think it's going to take up an hour and a half, 2 hours of my time. Yeah, we'll get into it and I'll show you this pass when we get there. Just because I'm only stopping at certain places doesn't mean that there is nothing else to do. I recommend just checking out Google Maps and it'll show you the tourist attractions. Some of them don't appeal to me, they might appeal to you. I'm just sort of stopping at some of the ones that appeal to me, which is normally landscapes and good views. I'm not so much into the cultural villages and markets and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, it's time to head on because we're already running late. So we're on the road from Bao Lac to Cao Bang, or Cao Bang. Just want to show you the roads everywhere here through North Vietnam are amazing. This is the best weather day that I've had so far, and it makes a world of difference. The riding today is so much more comfortable. Conditions like this, you ride a lot faster, so you get to where you're going. Probably save 10 to 15 minutes every hour. You can ride with better vision, better clarity. You can keep your visor down, you can still see. You're not as cold and uncomfortable. The conditions do make or break it, but basically the best bit about this bit of road, I've managed to avoid all the tour groups that are everywhere on the Ha Giang Loop just by getting off the Ha Giang Loop for a little bit. There is definitely value in exploring outside of the Ha Giang Loop.
The Mã Pja Pass itself is a 14-turn pass through the mountain. Ordinarily it might be a bit of fun, but unfortunately it's under construction, so you'll be faced with diggers, excavators, people working, things thrown across the road, trucks coming around blind corners. There'll be rocks and debris, single lanes, and slippery mud, as well as some goats if you're lucky. Once you finally reach the top, the cafe is about 40 metres away from the trailhead, and they have bamboo sticks and things to assist you climb. I highly recommend taking a walking aid, especially if conditions are wet and muddy. The path can get very muddy, it clings to your boots, and there are some semi-steep climbing sections. These rocks are not painted red randomly. This is kind of the trail marker. Follow the red signs.
There are sections where the path splits, but as far as I'm aware, you're supposed to be following these red markers here for the trail to the viewpoint. I've made it up, and I am pretty sweaty because I took a wrong turn shortly after filming my advice to the camera about following the red arrows and the red markers. I kind of started daydreaming, and I ended up probably 15 minutes further out than I needed to be, started a different climb. So this is a turn off I missed. There's a little wooden gate down there, red painting there. You have to climb up here. Red arrows. There is one here that I missed, but what I did, I kept walking down that path and then I had to turn around. Yeah, so definitely don't go there, go up there. You know, when you walk through the wooden gate, this little wooden gate here, you gotta chuck a right straight away. Found a different viewpoint. It's nowhere near as good as this, and it's a lot more slippery. This in itself is quite dangerous to get to in the mud. It just cakes everything, so expect to have a few sketchy moments, but I mean, it's not that bad. There's just some sections that are worse than others. Yeah, without any wrong turns, it's only 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's taken me probably an hour to get here. I've seen some things that I didn't really need to see. This is an awesome viewpoint. So before, we just drove up the Mã Pja Pass. I've no idea how to pronounce it, by the way. And you can see all the construction work ongoing down there. The road itself was similar to this. It was a very, very slippery clay-like substance. But I think once the construction's finished, it'll be a more enjoyable road to drive. At the moment, not the least bit enjoyable. So it's been good weather. There is a little bit of mist just drifting in now. It doesn't look like too much, like it'll blow over pretty quickly. And I'm glad for this viewpoint, because this is pretty cool. I do imagine this would be quite hard work in the hotter months, so bring a lot of water. In the cooler months, easily get away with half a litre or such. So this hike, definitely worth doing it. I wouldn't do it if it was actually raining. When it's not raining, but it has been, the floor's slippery, but it's not too bad because you can enjoy it a little bit. If it was actually raining, I don't think you would get the benefit of the view. You wouldn't see as much. So I'll probably skip it if that was the case.
to Cao Bang, however you say that. Alright, so there's been a few changes. I'm actually in Ban Gioc at the moment, or about a couple K away. This is the Riverside homestay, and I'll show you tomorrow out the back here. It's all dark at the moment, but it's a pretty beautiful looking place right on the river, very well upkept and everything. So the original plan was to go to Angel Eye Mountain to Cao Bang, but I got into Cao Bang and I just decided I was going to keep riding to Ban Gioc, because what this does is it frees up a day for me later on, because I was going to go Cao Bang, then Ban Gioc, and I was going to go from Ban Gioc all the way to Ba Lake, which is a long ass drive. Even though today was a long ride, I could see the waterfall on that tomorrow, and then just hour and a half ride back to Cao Bang. Then the next day I can ride to Ba Lake and still have a bit of time to actually see some stuff around Ba Lake. So I only have to spend one night at the lake. With the way I was planning it before, I was actually going to spend 2 nights at the lake, because I wasn't planning on getting in until late. This way I can get away with 1 night at the lake. It has been a hassle today with a lot of riding, so I didn't film much really past the lookout that we did. I was surprised coming out to Ban Gioc. It's not isolated. The newest roads, the best road conditions that I've had on this whole trip, but again it did start to rain, so that was a pain. And there are towns and petrol stations and shops and everything all the way pretty much to Ban Gioc. In my head I was thinking Cao Bang would be like the last big place, and then it would just be like nothingness out to the eastern border, but there's just houses and buildings and shops all the way. I think Vietnam has 70-something million people. I was surprised how populated it is out this way, this close to the border. So I did intend to go to Cao Bang. I actually rode into Cao Bang and then rode to Ban Gioc, even though it would have been quicker actually if I just made up my mind at lunchtime that I was coming to Ban Gioc. I would have saved probably about 20 minutes on the ride. So as long as you know roughly where all the towns are, you can be flexible with your plans. This isn't the way I originally planned to do it. The good thing about travelling around in January is that it's not peak season, so you can just get into a town and find good accommodation. That means you can be a lot more flexible with your plans, like I was today when I wasn't feeling too bad on the bike, so I decided to just keep riding. You can just rock up whenever you want, and you'll probably get your choice in homestay or hotel or hostel. In peak season, you probably will still get accommodation somewhere, but it might not be the room that you wanted or the hostel that you wanted that had the mountain view, for example. So there are definite benefits, even though it's freezing cold, to coming in January and the off-peak season. It's just a shame that I've copped all of the rain so far. Everything is wet again because it started raining. Boots covered in mud from the walk that we did today. So I've spent half an hour cleaning them again, and now I'm just trying to dry them. Once the camera goes off, I'll turn the hairdryer back on. Tomorrow, plan is to see Ban Gioc Waterfalls, hopefully early, and then I'll ride into Cao Bang, see if I can get some laundry done or something like that. That's it for tonight. I'm gonna get some rest, and hopefully, once my shoes are dry, get some rest, and then we'll check out the waterfall tomorrow morning, nice and early.
Now, I'm staying at Riverside Homestay, which is about 6 or 7 kilometres away from the falls themselves. There are other accommodation options closer to the falls, but this for me was a nice option with really good reviews. Outside of the waterfalls, there is also a cave that is quite highly recommended, and besides that, I just got to drive out to Cao Bang. It's roughly an hour and a half drive away, with some of the best and smoothest roads where you can pick up a decent amount of pace to get there.
So this is Ban Gioc Falls. I am obviously on the Vietnamese side of the falls. There is the Chinese side as well. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure if you can access the Chinese side. You'd have to go through border control, and I'm not sure if you need to pre-arrange a visa or if there's some special arrangement just for seeing the waterfalls. Where I am at the moment, this is only part of it. It's a very big system of waterfalls. The water is flowing loud. I'm just outside of the spray range here at the moment. There are signs saying not to swim and not to fly your drone around, which is a shame. It is multi-tiered with many fronts to it. It just looks like something out of a movie, and I'm sure it has featured in some movies. I just couldn't name them. So I've come here reasonably early. I got here about 7 a.m. I actually wanted to get here earlier, but there was no one at the ticket booth for 10 minutes. I had to sort of wait around and I had to call someone over. Cost of entry was only 40,000 VND, which is good. It's cheap. At the moment, as far as I can tell, the grounds look clean, so all the rubbish is being picked up, which is good, because when you pay entry to these sorts of things, you want your money to go in towards keeping the place nice and healthy, naturally. I am unsure on the opening hours. For example, if I'd gotten here half an hour earlier to try and capture sunrise, which is relevant with the mist around, but on a clear day, I don't know if they are open 24/7. If not, I would just walk straight through the gate and then pay on the way out. So I'm going to have a walk around the grounds. There's plenty to see here and try and get some good photos. I'm not a good photographer, so that'll be a struggle. And then I'm going to head to a nearby cave, back to the accommodation, and then to Cao Bang. Another part of Ban Gioc Falls. The rafts take you out to the falls to try and get some better shots. To be honest, I'm not sure if you'd actually get many better shots. You'd be covered in the spray as well, so your lens would have to wipe it a fair bit just to get the droplets off. But yeah, you can see the size of the falls in general and just how many different fronts there are. Where I am at the moment, I've still got the whole thing to myself. Nobody's rocked up. Everyone seems to be on the other side of the water. Just leaving Riverside Homestay now. I spent so long at Ban Gioc that I've decided to skip the cave nearby, but there is a cave nearby. It's about 3 or 4 k's away from Ban Gioc. Most of the reviews recommend doing the extended tour, which takes an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I just didn't have time today, so I'm moving on to Cao Bang now without having done the cave. So I've stopped in Cao Bang. This is a pretty big city. In fact, I'd say it's the biggest city on the loop. It's bigger than Ha Giang, as far as I can tell. I'm just staying at a place called Primrose Homestay. It's only like 260k for a private room, private bathroom, and it is like in the middle of everything. There's markets and shops and just everything you can think of, all these good places to eat. The list of things that I wanted to do that I haven't for one reason or another
is growing. Some of that obviously is because of the weather. Today with the cave, that was just my poor planning and sort of not realising how long I'd actually spend at Ban Gioc because I enjoyed it so much, and I didn't do the research into how long it would take to do the cave tour. So it's all good, like you guys can learn from my mistakes and hopefully I can learn from it as well, because if I do come back and do it again, which I'll be keen to do, I will do a bit more research and plan it out a little bit better. Like this morning, Ban Gioc was incredible. I spent 2.5 hours there maybe. Could have spent even more. I was reluctant to leave, but eventually I had to check out of the homestay I was staying at, the Riverside homestay, so I kind of had to leave just because of time constraints and coming to Cao Bang. So I've decided kind of just to rest up here. I'm going to spend 2 nights here. I'll explore Angeli Mountain and then another night here. This just gives me an opportunity to do some laundry because I only had 2 pairs of jocks left, and because of all the weather and some of the hikes that I've been doing, my pants were covered in mud, but it's just a good chance to relax and get off the bike, kind of. Still be on the bike tomorrow for about 2 hours, but it's not too bad because it's only about 50 minutes each way, roughly. So yeah, with that in mind, I'm going to try and edit the video a little bit and get a good sleep. With Cao Bang being a major city, it's a good place to do some shopping and stock up on anything that you can't find in those smaller towns. Today, about 45 minutes north, we got Nui Mat Than, or Angeli Mountain as it's commonly known. However, if you type this into Google, you'll be given the wrong directions, shown in red here. You can still get to it, but it involves a really long walk. Type in Nam Tra Waterfall instead and follow the path there, and you'll be able to walk through the valley to Angeli Mountain as well as to the waterfall. To the west of town, we have Thang Han Lake. As you head through town, keep an eye out for this blue sign here. Ordinarily, this is a right-hand turn. However, this is me filming after doing a U-turn because I missed it the first time. Once you jump on this road, be prepared to get covered in mud. The whole thing is potholes and puddles, and if it's raining, of course, it's slippery mud as well. Your boots will get dirty, your pants will get dirty. Just be prepared to get dirty in general.
Alright guys, so about 45 minutes to 50 minutes outside of Cao Bang is Angeli Mountain, which you can see down in the valley below. There's a few tent sites down there, so I've parked the scooter up here and I think I'm going to walk down from here. I don't know if anyone's in the tents at the moment, so I'm just going to avoid riding the scooter past them at the moment, and we'll just go for a walk through the valley. There is a waterfall around here somewhere as well. Try and find that. No rain at the moment, but a lot of low-hanging cloud and mist. Hopefully it does not start to rain and we get a good little walk in this morning. So I'm down in the valley now. It turns out you probably can drive your motorbike or scooter down here, but if it's wet and muddy like it is now, you might want some mud tyres to get back out. It's not super steep, but I imagined that my tyres wouldn't be able to drive their way up the hill just with the conditions. It is the type of mud that adds a kilo to your boot as you walk through it. I decided just to walk down instead, and even that was challenging enough. In the dry, 100% I'd ride down here. You don't need to, it's not a long walk. Behind me you can see Angeli Mountain. It's nice and quiet at the moment, very peaceful. A few horses grazing on the grass. We'll go for a wander around the valley and see what else there is to see in the valley. Angeli Mountain is pretty cool. We'll get a little bit closer and have a close look at it as well.
Oh guys, I can hear Nam Tram waterfall just over here. I've already flown the drone over for a look. It's not massively impressive considering I went to Ban Gioc yesterday, but Angeli Mountain is a definite highlight for me. Being able to fly the drone around here is pretty cool. I started walking to the waterfall, but the path is just mud and it's real narrow and it slopes down into the river or the stream. So I bailed on the waterfall, made some new friends. This is Bruce the buffalo. Keeps looking at me, which is kind of weird. But to be fair, I was looking at him first, so I understand. Gonna have to leave Bruce in a second. Might have a quick look around for Dang Han Lake, but I'm not too fussed about the lake, to be honest. Angeli Mountain was the main reason I was here today, and this is the only thing I've got planned in Cao Bang today. Then I'm gonna have to do some laundry and wash my boots and everything. Ready to go tomorrow to Ba Lake. It's a decent ride tomorrow, so just need to rest up, and today is just a bit of a day off for me. See you, Bruce, Sandy. After a muddy day like that, I just pulled into bike wash. Cleaned all my boots as well. Leaving Cao Bang. This is the breakfast spot, Ban Gioc. It's not raining at the moment, but there's a low-hanging cloud, and I've decided just to put the rain gear on. Just as a precaution, I guess. It helps with the wind chill as well. Once you start riding, it gets pretty cold. 3 hours to Ba Lake. I'm sure we'll go through some mountain passes. It might be raining at elevation, so I'd rather just get everything on now and ride for 3 hours.
So today we're riding from Cao Bang to Ba Lake. This is a decent ride. It's a good 3 hours, 3.5 hours, depending on conditions. There are 4 main activities to do at Ba Lake. 2 are accessible by motorbike and foot. They are to the southeast of the lake, Hua Ma Cave, and Tat Ma Waterfall. There's another cave and another waterfall that are to the north of the lake, Puong Cave and Dal Dang Waterfall. These are only accessible by boat, so you need to organise with a travel agent or one of the homestays to get to these activities.
Just on our way up to Hua Ma Cave. Just be careful on these steps, they're all moss covered, they never get cleaned. Pretty slippery, which is common with all the caves that I've seen so far. A few steps to get to the cave, but I'm pretty sure I got it to myself.
Although it's a steep climb, the views on the way up are pretty incredible, so it's worth just stopping for a breather and having a look.
Hey guys, so made it to the Ba Lake area. I have ridden past Ba Lake. I'm not sure if I captured it on the GoPro or not, but I've had a quick look at the lake itself just from riding past it, because where we are at the moment is Hua Ma Cave at the top of the steps now. This is kind of a few k's south of Ba Lake, so you have to ride past the lake to get here. So there are 4 things that I had on my list to do here in the Ba Lake area. One of them was Hua Ma Cave, which is just behind me now, and the other one is Tat Ma Waterfall. So those 2 activities are down to the south of the lake. They are accessible by motorbike or scooter. The other 2 that I wanted to do, Dal Dang Waterfall and Puong Cave, they are only accessible by a boat ride or a raft ride. So I haven't figured out how to organise that yet. I thought I'd just start with these 2 that are accessible by motorbike. There's Tat Ma Waterfall, we'll check out after this. But for now, we're going to go into Hua Ma Cave. They've got a few different colour arrangements over the stalagmites and stalactites. Yeah, let's go have a look. Now this is the inside of Hua Ma Cave, so you can see they light up, just to give you a better view. Some of the lights are coloured and they change colours. Some of them, like this one, are constant. Personally, I do prefer the constant lights, or at least if the coloured ones didn't change so frequently. What I can say is it's nice and clean in here. There's plenty of bins around, as well as signs about not leaving rubbish and making too much noise. I'm actually the only person in here, which is even better, and I can sort of go around at my own pace and just enjoy the views. So to me, this makes up a little bit for missing out on some of the other caves along the way. Having it to myself as well has made it pretty good. Stairs out are pretty killer. Yeah, just go slow. Just leaving now. On the way back up, it took me about an hour down there. The trail, the path in there goes for maybe a kilometre, maybe less, but it takes a lot of time because you stop and look at things. All right, now we're out. Gonna go to Tat Ma Waterfall. Oh, fresh air.
To get to Tat Ma Waterfall from Hua Ma Cave, be careful not to follow Google Maps entirely. You can follow it a fair way of the portion there, but where there's a fork in the road, you want to take a left, as you'll see on maps.me. That will take you correctly to the start of the trail for the waterfalls. The way Google takes you is up a hill to try and place you as close to the waterfall as possible. This is not how you access the base of the waterfall. As you get to the fork in the road, there will be a blue sign pointing to the waterfall.
I'm assuming this goes to the higher level Floor is extremely slippery, so just be careful. Alright, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear me here with the waterfall, but this is Tat Ma Waterfall. Took me longer to get here than I was hoping. I should have followed the signs. There's a signpost in town. Don't take the right where Google Maps directs you, take the left. You get to the end, there's supposed to be a sign that you're looking for, but for me, there's all this blue metal and gravel dumped there with an excavator, so it's like they're doing construction. So I was actually hidden behind, but once you get to the end of that road, that's where the trail starts. Now, I showed you part of the trail before, then I had to put the camera away because that's you have to cross the stream. Downstream, the steps, the pathway stops, you have to cross over. So that involves a bit of rock hopping. I needed my hands free for that. And then it's just steps all the way back up. Watch out for spiders and spider webs. There's a lot of them, especially at the moment. It's not peak season. Nobody else has come through and cleared the spider webs. Some of them look very poisonous, so I don't really want to be walking into their webs. It's about 1 o'clock now. I need to go get some lunch. I was going to do Puong Cave, which involves getting a boat. I may or may not get to it. I might run out of time. I might skip Dao Dang Waterfall. Some reviews say that it's not actually that good anyway. I think this is probably the more impressive of the two if you have to do one. Decent waterfall, definitely worth checking out. This one is free entry as well. A couple 100 metres to walk, not too strenuous, but very slippery. So I'm going to try and get some photos of this, and that'll probably kill another 40 minutes, unfortunately, and then I'll go find somewhere to eat lunch. If I'm lucky, I'll get to Puong Cave as well, but we'll see how we go.
The ride from Tat Ma to the south shore of Ba Bay Lake is half an hour. The scale of Ba Bay Lake is quite large. Most of the homestays where you would normally get food and possibly boat rental are on this south shore here. Unfortunately, as I rode through, I saw that most places were closed, under construction. This is possibly due to the off-season, but also it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock now, so many places are closed for lunch. I needed to get to Puong Cave to the north of the lake. There are no roads up the west side. Tomorrow's ride is out to Zuza, so I needed to make my way south to connect to this road going north on the east side of the lake, just to get out to Puong Cave, and then try to find some accommodation on the north side, so I wasn't constantly backtracking back and forth. So over there is Puong Cave. Normally would catch a boat from the river, but there doesn't seem to be anything in operation at the moment. Not sure if it's too late in the day. I can't seem to see the vendors, who I think would normally be set up over here. There's just no one there, it's all abandoned. So it looks like I'll be skipping Puong Cave. If I had come earlier in the day, I do expect that the boats would have left from here. Underneath the trees on the riverbank here is a little pier or jetty. I did fly the drone further upstream and you can see the boats sitting around the corner. However, there are also Google reviews which suggest that the boats run from the homestays on the lake and simply follow the stream up through Puong Cave. Knowing that I had to go north tomorrow to Zuza, I decided to find accommodation on the north side of the lake. Luckily there's this road here that connects the main road to the north, and where I ended up booking is a place called Ba Bay Retreat Homestay. is right on the water's edge on the north side of the lake.
Alright guys, so after finding Puong Cave but not being able to find the boats, it was getting on. I hadn't eaten lunch and I hadn't booked accommodation yet. I started looking into where I want to go tomorrow, which is Du Gia. The only road around the lake is on that eastern side, so I wanted to sort of track up towards the north side of the lake, find accommodation there, just to shorten the driving distance tomorrow morning. So I ended up booking in at Pja Retreat Homestay, which is where I am right now, thinking that it would be nice and easy. It's not far from Puong Cave. You can take a road up that cuts up to the north. Unfortunately, it is quite difficult to find. I'm trying to WhatsApp the owner, who doesn't speak the best English, and try and figure out how to get there. I got here after dark, so I can't really show you the place, but it's a nice place. It is like right on the shoreline of the lake, right at the northern end. It is a nice looking place, but very basic. Personally, not my style. You don't get your own bathroom. You have to walk sort of 30-40 metres to get to the bathroom. No water pressure. The shower just felt like someone was dribbling on me. So once I'd lathered up in soap, it was so hard to get it off because there's just no water pressure at all. But during the day, it looks amazing here, being right on the water's edge of the lake and that. So tomorrow is a long ride. It's about 4.5 hours, all things going well. Where the homestay is actually quite a bumpy, long and not very comfortable road out to the main road, which you don't get that on the maps when you're looking for it. You don't get a sense of how far off the main road it is. So by coming up to the north of the lake, I have saved time, but also not as much as I would have liked, just because the road in here is so narrow and bumpy and uncomfortable. Pja Retreat Homestay is where I am now. The people are amazing. The dinner that they cooked was awesome, but it's not my style of accommodation. It's quite bare bones, and I need water pressure. I need hot water as well. Yeah, I've ridden around a lot today. Things didn't really go exactly to plan, but I'm knackered, so probably get an early night and another big day on the bike tomorrow. The days on the bike are not the most fun, but that's how we're getting around. It's the whole point of the trip. Leaving Pja Retreat Homestay. Today is a very long ride, about 4.5 hours. Is why I wanted to come to the north side of the lake, was just to shorten today's ride by a little bit. Left a bit later than I wanted to. They made up a really big, nice breakfast. Now I decided to fly the drone around because I hadn't actually got any shots of Pja Lake besides the GoPro mounted to the handlebars yesterday because I was a bit too busy to stop at the lake itself. Today's going to be mostly driving. It says 4.5 hours. It might be closer to 5 if it starts raining again, but I won't record too much more until we get to Du Gia because there's a lot of riding to do between here and there.
The ride from Pja Lake to Zuza is uneventful in the sense that there aren't any activities to stop at along the way. none that I had planned anyway. However, it does involve a portion of the worst road you will ride on this entire trip, the DT176 turning right off QL34. For those of you doing the Ha Giang Loop, you won't have to face this road because after you do Mã Pja Pass from Dong Van, you'll head into Vách, and then you will turn west and head down to Gia Du Gia from the north. I did know about the road but had no idea how bad it would be. The wet weather just made it twice as bad. Unfortunately, this still remains the fastest way from Bao Lac to Gia Du Gia. As you can see here, it wipes off about 2 hours for the trip instead of going up north through Vách. So as bad as it is, we just have to put up with it. It's really hard to convey just how annoying and frustrating this road is on camera. The GoPro, being a wide angle lens for a start, does not do justice to the size of the ruts. With the weather and the mud and the construction work, you're basically confined to a single rut, and then you just follow that and hope for the best. There will be numerous times when you feel like you may almost drop the bike. You can't exit your rut unless you come to a complete stop and lift it out of the rut. The ride is uncomfortable, and that is just compounding on top of the fact that you've already ridden 4.5 hours before you start the DT176. This is still the fastest way to go, but it is not fun. The other thing that's really hard to convey is the total amount of time that you'll spend on this road. It goes from one type of bad to a different type of bad. There are no breaks in the construction. It doesn't relent even for 100 metres. It is like this for about 27 kilometres. Those 27 kilometres could take you between an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on whether it's mud or dry when you go and how much traffic there is with trucks and excavators. This was not a fun style of off-road riding. It was annoying, tedious and very tiring. It's also worth noting that the bits that I've recorded here are not the worst parts of this road. On the worst parts of this road, I had to keep both hands on the handlebar. If I took them off, I definitely would have stacked it. There are other sections where, even if I wanted to take my finger off and try and press the record button on the GoPro, I wouldn't have been able to line it up just because of how bumpy it was. So as bad as these may or may not look on camera, these are not the worst parts of the road either. Just as you're about to lose all hope, you're greeted with some incredible views. The roads get better as you get to within about 6 kilometres of Gia Du Gia. What a relief. In Gia Du Gia, I did have plans to stay 2 nights just to recover from the riding for today. There's only 2 things I really wanted to see in the area, and one a little bit further north. I decided to try and see the Gia Du Gia waterfalls today, just as I had about 3 hours left before the sun went down. After checking in at Xian's lodge in the centre of town, I headed off to the waterfalls. Now, these roads to the waterfalls, little did I know at the time, but there is actually a bitumen road the whole way through. It's not on Google Maps, and it's not on maps.me either, but it is this one here that I'm crossing now. To find this road, just hit up this spot here from maps.me and then continue along the bitumen road. It is not mapped out yet, but it does exist.
Just walking down to Gioc Falls, park at the car park. They try and charge you 5,000 VND, but about 20 metres back from that is a free spot to park anyway, with a sign saying free parking. So obviously I parked at the free parking and walked the extra 20 metres. It is about 3:30, 4 o'clock, so hopefully this is not so busy today. There are a few scooters parked up though, so obviously there'll be people there. And then there is a second waterfall a little bit further along, so I'll try and walk to that one. The rain is on and off at the moment though, so we'll see how we go.
The waterfalls are only about 5-10 minute walk away. As you cross this stream, you'll notice a pathway on your right. That's for Gia Du Gia Falls number 2. Stay on the left hand side if you want to go to Gia Du Gia Falls number 1, which is the more popular, easier access and closer of the waterfalls. This is Gia Du Gia 1, just here.
So as you come up this path, to get to the next waterfall, you got to take this little track down here and follow that up and around. That's where I'm going anyway. All right guys, so just at Gioc Waterfalls. I'm about halfway to waterfall number 2. It's just a little bit of an extra trek on top 5-10 minutes, it's not much at all. Waterfall number 1, we'll swing back around and have a look at that later. There was a easy rider group there, so it's a bit crowded at the moment, so I'll make my way to number 2, and then we'll check out number 1 on the way back down. This is where it ends for me. I'm not going to make it to Gioc Waterfall number 2. What I have to do is wade across here, and I think there's a path up there. I can't risk slipping in with all the camera gear. You could easily wade across this, but it means my shoes are going to get absolutely saturated, so I'm going to call it quits on Gioc Waterfall number 2. I'm just going to send the drone up to see if the path is on that side. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you have to cross the stream here. It's pretty shallow, but very, very slippery, and that's why I don't want to cross at the moment.
After leaving Zuzar Waterfall number 2, abandoning the attempt to reach it, I headed for Zuzar Waterfall number 1. This one's easily accessible and has a bit of a swimming pool at the base of the waterfall. Unfortunately, there is stupidly loud music playing from the cafes built right above the waterfall, which is a little bit annoying, but it doesn't mean this place isn't worth checking out. It's still a lot of fun to be had, especially in the warmer months, to come here for a swim. As the sun was setting behind the mountains, it was a good time to leave, head back into Zuzar for some food and try and get some sleep.
G'day guys, I'm just in Gioc at the moment. This is my accommodation in the town. It is Shen's Lodge, everything's brand new. Best night's sleep that I've had. I've actually decided to spend another night here, so today is just like a bit of a free hit day. So what I'm going to do is explore a little bit north to show you the route that you would have taken normally coming from Dong Van through Mã Pja Pass to Gioc if you were just doing the Ha Giang Loop. There is Hang Tham Lin is the one thing I really wanted to check out, which is a slight detour, and then I'll head back down south, check out some of the viewpoints, and then I'm also going to go back and reattempt Gioc Waterfall number 2 by crossing the stream. Yesterday I didn't have the right footwear. Hiking boots have a really hard moulded plastic, very durable sort of sole on them, but they're not made for rock hopping because they don't form to the rock face. I'm going to go back and do it in some Crocs, get my feet wet, check out Gioc Waterfall number 2, just so I don't let that one beat me. And then besides that, it's just a day of relaxation before tomorrow, the final day. We'll be heading back to Ha Giang with a few sights to see along the way. Another reason, one of the main reasons to be honest, that I extended the trip is that the forecast for tomorrow is meant to be clear all day, so I can leave nice and early, not face any rain, and hopefully get some good shots from the views and things that we're going to see along the way, like little Mã Pja Pass Canyon. We'll get started. I've just had a nice breakfast and we'll head out towards the Gioc Viewpoint, Hang Tham Lin and Leng Ho Viewpoint, and then we'll head off to the waterfalls.
Faced with some good weather for once, I headed off on the bike. First stop today being Viewpoint Zuzar, or Zuzar Viewpoint, which is not too far north of town.
Gioc Viewpoint, according to Google Maps, it might be 50 metres up around the corner, but this is where Google Maps says it is. Pretty good viewpoint, but it's pretty similar to the one that you get in the hostel and in town. Or maybe it's just a saturation because you see so many good things while you're riding. So this is pretty cool, but yeah, don't need to spend too long here.
The total ride distance today is only about 1 hour out to Hang Tham Lin. If we continue along the 176 north, we head to Viewpoint Leng Ho. Now this is a very popular viewpoint. As you can see, all the easy rider groups are here today. Because I left a little bit later to avoid the rain, I'm just going to come back to this one. I'm going to skip it for now, as we need to come past this on the way back from Hang Tham Lin. We also need to come past it tomorrow on the way out to Ha Giang. Just past Viewpoint Leng Ho is a right hand turn. Now this road here is shown on Google Maps. For some reason maps.me will not direct you down this road. It doesn't know it exists. So on this occasion you're better off using Google Maps.
I've just stopped on the side of the road on the way. It's probably one of the best views I've seen so far.
clear enough to get a really good view with a bit of mist rolling through the mountains. Pretty happy with this view.
The road that we take from Viewpoint Lung Ho through to Hang Tham Lin is a mountain pass that is as scenic as Mã Pja Pass's Death Road, and possibly as sketchy in places as well. As you get to the end, you come through a village with very tight hairpin turns on very steep descents. This was the best ride of the trip for me because it came as a complete surprise, and I'd never heard anybody talking about how good this road was. This road is getting pretty sketchy and my brakes feel really spongy. I need to press them nearly all the way to the throttle now just to get the bike to stop. So I don't know if I'm going to need to get them checked by a mechanic. Every time I try and describe this road, I basically just keep coming back to calling it another version of the Mã Pja Pass, both for its stunning scenery as well as these narrow roads and sharp hairpin turns on the descent. It is a two-way road. There will be people coming up and down from the village, so just keep an eye out for that. As you join the main road, it is quite poor conditions, but as you get closer to Hang Tham Lin, the conditions do get a little bit better. Google Maps will direct you to cross the river, but the rafts are actually based here on the right. There's a little restaurant here with raft hire. I had to do a U-turn because I followed Google Maps directions, which are wrong. This little path here off the main road will take you down to the restaurant and raft hire. So I just pulled into the travel agency, which is where you're meant to go to get the raft, but they've told me the water flow is too strong today, so they can't actually do the raft up to the cave. Stacked it on that road as well, shortly after complaining about the brakes. I kind of went straight over one of the low speed corners. The bike just wouldn't stop itself, squeezing all the way to the throttle, so I'll have to head into the gear, head to a mechanic and get that fixed. Bent this up, but besides that, pretty minimal damage. It was very slow speed sort of accident, just slowly went off the edge at a hairpin turn and just put the bike on its side. Need to see if I can get it fixed and get the brakes, just tighten the cable up a little bit. But I'll try sending the drone down here just so you can have a look at what this place looks like. As it stands at the moment, I can't get to it because they are not doing the rafts today. Unable to get any closer to the caves due to the water flow, I decided to ride back to Zuza and check out the waterfalls, the ones that I couldn't access the previous day. Luckily, the scenery was stunning on the way there, both on this mountain pass, as well as DT176 just north of Zuza. Some of the best scenery of the trip so far, thanks to the weather. On the way back through to Zuza, I did also stop at Viewpoint Lung Ho for a coffee, and was greeted with views like this.
Hey guys, back at the spot where I stopped yesterday, Gioc Falls number 2. I'm going to attempt to cross it now. I've busted out the Crocs, secret weapon, and I've already been able to tell the difference with the grip on the rocks. See if the drone can track me across, and then we'll make our way up to Gioc Falls 2. It's been a hell of a day. I've got to clean everything again, obviously, covered in mud, because it did rain this morning. Done one of the best rides today through the whole trip. If we can cross off Gioc Falls number 2, it'll still be a good day. So with the Crocs and these chicken legs, we should be all right. He said I got the biggest legs he's ever seen. Alright guys, so I had to pack the drone away because it was having trouble following me. Probably the dark clothing, not enough contrast against the jungle. But basically once you cross the stream, you can go as far as you want. This is the more interesting bit. I went up a bit further along the trail, but it's less waterfalls as it is more like little cascades, rapidy sort of type stuff, which you probably saw on the drone footage yesterday when we flew up higher. But this sort of area here and the one just below it, probably the two more impressive waterfalls. This is Gioc Waterfall number 2. The easy rider groups don't come here. The waterfall number 1, probably about 30 people down there at the moment. A few of them having a swim, which is good. The water is not that cold really, cold enough to be refreshing, but you can easily go for a swim here. I won't because I have to leave tomorrow and I don't have enough time to dry my clothes. And by the way, Gioc, not how you pronounce it, it's probably, I think it's Zuza or something like that. And this area is absolutely stunning. The Google Map route that takes you to Hang Tham Lin, that road is amazing. The only issue I had, my brakes need retightening, the cable. I was squeezing them to the throttle, not stopping the motorbike at the moment. Generally speaking, outside of that, that ride was incredible and the weather was good, so I had proper views. Now, I feel like I've kind of missed out days 1, 2 and 3 because more than likely days 1, 2 and 3 had similar views, but I just wasn't able to see them. If Pja Pass and Heaven's Gate or anything like today, it's kind of opened my eyes up about how amazing this place is. This Zuza, Gioc area is just, well, the roads are shit. The roads are real bad compared to Bao Lac and Cao Bang and that, but in general, the scenery here, absolutely stunning, and it's hard to focus on the road because it's just incredible. I don't know. I've got a bit of footage with the gimbal or the camera and the GoPro and that, but it's not the same when you're here and you see it with your eyes. We see at different focal lengths with more peripheral than a camera lens can give you. Still looks amazing, but it looks even better in person, trust me. But anyway, if you take that path today that Google Maps takes you on, that road is incredible. But just take note of where you rejoin the larger road. I had trouble finding it and I was looking for it for a long time, and eventually a local showed me the way. But then things got really weird and he was following me and he kept stopping and pulling in front of me, wanting to take pictures, and I was getting serial killer vibes from him. And eventually every time he stopped and tried to block me, I just shot past on the other side. So I was glad to get away from him. It's made me late again to this because I had to stop at a cafe just to try and get rid of him. So that was interesting. I didn't want to have to push him off a cliff, but I got the feeling that he was going to try to do something to me. One of those weird sort of things that happens when you're traveling by yourself, I guess. There are downsides being so beautiful and everything. Now, tomorrow is the last day. I am going to try and get an early start. Now, in regards to tomorrow, if you're looking at the Ha Giang Loop on a map, you might think that to complete the loop, you go south from Zuza or Gioc, but that takes you on DT176, which is fine north of Gioc. but don't go on the south bit. That's the bit that I came up on because I was coming from the south from Barbet Lake, and it's horrendous. It's not even fun. If you want some interesting off-road trails, just around this waterfall through some of the homestays and that, there's some pretty sketchy trails that are good fun, but the one DT176 south of Dugia is not fun. It is one of the worst roads I've ever been on. It's so uncomfortable for a start. Slippery to the point where you're just on edge all the time, and you can only do about 20 k's an hour. So it takes you an hour 15 to go about 30 k's. So tomorrow, which I'm going to do, and I'll show you, but also all the Easy Rider groups I know do this as well, they leave Dugia and head north. So we're going to go north. We've seen the viewpoints already, so I may or may not stop again at the viewpoints. And then we're going to head west to Aboong Waterfall and Little Mã Pja Leng. Now, tomorrow's supposed to be a really good weather forecast. Got him. Tomorrow's supposed to be really good weather. So if it's anything like this afternoon, we're going to get some good views in that. Hopefully something similar to today. So leaving Zuza or Dugia this morning to Ha Giang, and not wearing the rain gear, hoping it doesn't rain. But I have a feeling I might ride through a few patches, but I can do washing in Ha Giang as long as I don't get too cold. Pretty good sunrise this morning.
I made some friends on the side of the road. I don't speak Vietnamese, but I'm pretty sure they were amazed by how big my legs were and not the drone.
Hey. Alright guys, I'm just leaving Zuza at the moment. A lot of local kids wanting to look at the drone. I'm going to have to pull over soon and land the drone. It's an awesome sunrise at the moment, good weather. It's just a shame I didn't have this at the start of the trip. Would have been cool to see Heaven's Gate and everything in these sort of conditions, but you can't win them all. Alright guys, so we're on our way to Ha Giang. Just going to stop at Aboong Waterfall and Little Mã Pja Leng. There's not too much to see along the way. We are heading north, obviously, to avoid that horrible road down south. But yeah, it's pretty much a straightforward drive. Scenic, but I might not shoot too much today because it's all been scenic really. Every corner that you go around is just another view. Yeah, the view early in the morning is incredible. Not too many people on the road yet, but I better get going because all the easy riders are going to catch me up if I keep stopping and filming. But yeah, it's a shame. It's hard to drive away from this sort of stuff.
Knowing that this was the last day and humbled by the great sunrise and views, I was in a bit of a melancholy mood as I just tried to soak everything in. Fortunately, because I left early, I was able to get Viewpoint Lung Ho to myself to really enjoy the views and have a nice coffee without anyone else around. Leaving Zuza in the early morning, you get really incredible views. Eventually, you'll pass through a town. There may or may not be a local market. I was always surprised at the sheer length of these markets and just how many pedestrians you have to move through. The roads this morning are not in great condition the whole way, but they are leaps and bounds better than the DT176 going south, so this remains the best choice by far. After roughly an hour, you'll enter this little valley near a dried up river. This may or may not be a dry river during the wet season. "37 k's out from Puong Waterfall. The bridge has collapsed. There's another road just to the side here that you can take. The maps is showing me that this was the original road, so I'm going to take this. You just got to cross over here because the bridge has collapsed. They've built this little bridge like that. After some more scenic mountain roads, the road does flatten out a little bit, and here you can pick up some good pace, pushing the motorbike or the scooter up to at least 70-80 k's as it flows along the river. This is the Songlo River, the same river that flows through the city of Ha Giang, and the same river that you can take a boat cruise on through little Mã Pja Canyon. Eventually the roads will climb again ever so slightly as you ride the side of the mountain towards Aboong Waterfall and little Mã Pja Canyon.
Alright guys, we just stopped on the side of the road on our way to Aboong Waterfall. We're about 7 k's away, so we're not there yet, but there are 2 waterfalls here. Not like massively impressive, but I'm just going to send the drone over to give you a look, and then we'll try to get into Ha Giang around lunchtime, hopefully past the police checkpoint while they're on lunch, just so I don't have to deal with it again. Technically, they gave me 5 days for the fine that I paid, and I sort of altered it with pen and made it 10 days because 5 days isn't enough, so I'm not sure if they're going to pick up on that. I'd rather just avoid them completely. But I'll just show you these 2 waterfalls here, and then we'll carry on. I'm not even sure, like, the things that I'm filming, they're probably not even the best views, and they probably don't even do it justice, but I can't stop to film everything because it just takes hours out of the day. You come here and see it for yourself and it'll make sense to you.
This waterfall here in the summertime would be a great place to come for a swim. There is a pool at the bottom and a pool at the top, both with fresh flowing water.
So in here is Aboong Waterfall. I'm not going to stop here for too long. It's not summertime. When I'm doing it, it's January, it's winter. So it's a bit cold to go for a swim, but this is somewhere people like to jump in and go for a swim. Apparently the pool is pretty deep and it's just a nice stop off along the road. It's literally right on the road. Another reason I'm not going down, it's pretty slippery, and in these sort of hiking boots, it's just not going to happen. I'd have to put my Crocs on just to get down there. So yeah, pretty steep path down there. Decent waterfall, but to be honest, I would probably go for a swim at the ones that are 7 kilometres back towards Zuza, the ones I showed you just before. Either way, you've got choices. 3 waterfalls within 7 k's of each other. It's probably a good 10 metres high. And also, ignore what you read on Google Maps about it not being where it's shown. This is one thing Google Maps has actually got right. It's exactly where it's shown. I think people are getting confused with the waterfalls. a little bit further along the road, but Aboong Waterfall is exactly where it's shown on Google Maps, right on the road. You don't have to walk to it. I'm going to move on. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I want to get a feed and then head to Little Mã Pja Canyon.
20 minutes later.
This is Little Mã Pja Canyon behind me. Seems to be a bit of confusion on Google Maps. People saying they can't find the boats that go through the canyon. The boats are near a cafe just down the road. Pretty easy to find if you ask me. This is Little Mã Pja Canyon. It is pretty stunning. There are boats that run. It's just, I don't know, what's that, 500 metres away? Little cafe on the corner, little viewpoint, and then you just run down to the river and there's some boats down there. Just had a little bit to eat here, and then I'm going to check out how long the boats take and how much they cost, because I'm the only person here, so I won't be able to split the cost. Yeah, stunning bit of scenery here. Decided to jump on the river cruise. I wasn't able to do the No Quay River at Mã Pja Pass just because of the weather and everything. With this one, there's no wait time. There's no one else doing it. 600,000 for a full ride, or 400,000 for a smaller ride. So I opted for the smaller one because it's shorter and cheaper, obviously. I'm on the boat by myself. Yeah, this is like very similar to the No Quay River that you would do without the wait times and getting the boat to yourself. Because the weather's good today, it seemed like too good an opportunity to pass up because I was unable to do the other one, which is a shame because I can't compare them. But so far, it's pretty cool. I thought it wouldn't be worth it because I thought the views from up top would be better, but the views from down here are pretty good. You see the river and the canyon in a whole new light. So what a difference having good weather makes to your enjoyment of each day on a day-to-day basis. Today, I've been able to ride around without rain gear on, and just everything changes, like pulling into restaurants. You just get off the bike and you go and eat. You're not removing ponchos and knee guards and elbow protectors and drying yourself off. You know, you can put the camera down. It's not all muddy. Riding around, you got better grip, better visibility, and then you can do activities like this. 400,000, it's a night's accommodation, depending on what sort of room you get, but in real terms it's less than 30 bucks. The view is unique from down here. Yeah, you can do it with a drone, but it's not the same because you won't actually be seeing it with your own eyes. It looks like he's taken me more than what I thought he would for a sort of half trip, so good value for money. Boat to myself, really enjoying the view, the weather and the trip in general. Like, this is a good way to finish off the last day to have such perfect weather. Just leaving Little Mã Pja Leng Canyon. It's 12:42. Not far out of town. I'm hoping I can get through the checkpoints before the cops come back from lunch and not have to show them my forgery. If not, we'll see how the forgery gets me by. Very close to the end of the loop now, but you do have to rejoin the main road out of Ha Giang. It's where the cops love to pick up people and give them fines or take a bribe, pretty much. So let's see how we go, see if we can get past them. I'm not sure when their lunch break is, but I've heard it's sort of 12 to 1 or 12 to 1:30 sometimes, but I think it changes. Okay guys, so that's the end of the Ha Giang Loop. Where I am now is just a waterfall 7 k's out of town, sort of to the west of town. You see it on Google Maps. The directions on Google Maps are basically accurate. You just follow the path. There'll be a red sign saying motorcycle parking, you just walk from there. I think it's meant to be 5,000 VND, but the lady didn't ask me for anything, maybe because my legs are so big. She was a bit intimidated. So I just come here. This is just one thing you can do around Ha Giang. I also tried to do the lookout in town, but it's under construction. The staircase has been concreted, so I couldn't get up there. Ha Giang Loop, January 2024. January is supposed to have the clearest skies. That didn't really eventuate for me. You know, this is real life and travel, and it's not Instagram. So I just want to answer some questions that I had before starting the trip that other people probably have as well. But I'll probably take a minute to write them down into a Word document, give myself a little bit more time to think, and I'll get back to that when I'm in the hostel or when I'm back at home in Australia, and I'll just put together a little piece of lessons I've learned, my regrets, mistakes that I made. So, and tied into that, things that I would change doing it again, and then just helpful tips and tricks that might help you, hopefully. Talk briefly about accommodation. I'll cover my total fuel usage, which I kept a track of, and the total cost of fuel, motorbike rental costs, and then, you know, just things like helmets and protection and police checkpoints, the Ha Giang permit, Google Maps versus Maps.me, and a few other things. I just need a bit of time to write stuff down so I can articulate my thoughts a little bit better and try not to forget anything. If I do forget something, just leave a comment, and obviously I'll get back to you if the question hasn't been answered already by myself on somebody else's comment. So if I don't reply, try searching through the comments to see if there's a response to something related there.